Hello everybody, this is Eddie and welcome to the next part of the Blender tutorials. This one I'm going to finish up that last touch of the modeling of the flash drive, and then we're going to get started on materials and textures. We probably won't actually make a texture or complete a material today, but we're just going to learn about what they are and get set up for using one. Okay, so if you notice, we have 4 vertices on the edge of each cylinder on this little keychain holder thing. I'm going to press Alt S and just make it a little skinnier. And 4 vertices, exactly the number for a face. So if we select a face and we delete it, then we could make a face in between 4 vertices of both of these, and we can patch them together. And I will show you how to do that. So I'm going to press X and I'm going to delete faces, which just leaves a hole where that face was. Now I'm going to select 4 vertices matching up on both of these objects. So 2 on the cylinder for the keychain thing and 4 on the body of the flash drive. I'm going to press the F key, which adds a face in between 3 or 4 vertices. Now I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to select 4 more and do it again, and 4 more, and one last time, and there we go, it's patched together. Now if you happen to still have that mirror modifier on or something, then you will have that done on both sides, but I don't. I got rid of it, so I'm going to do it again. Repeat the process on the other side. Come on. And let's see. Sorry. Forgot to set my timer for this one. I actually did this entire series on video before, but we could just call that a trial run, and all the videos, each part I covered about the same in each part, but each video is about twice as long, which is part of the reason why I'm doing it again. Another one is because now I'm better at making the tutorials and I know exactly what I have to do. Okay, so there we go, finished with the modeling. I think I just saved it, but I'll save it again, why not? And we're not going to apply the subsurf modifier because that's going to add so many more vertices. They're going to have all these vertices. You don't want all those vertices. You want it this many vertices, or rather, I should say this many vertices. So we can just keep it using the subdivision surface modifier. So next is, actually, you know what? I was gonna do some other things, but we're gonna do the material. That's more fun. So if you go over to all these tabs in here, you have the object data where you can name it. I should do that. It's kind of important. So if you go over to the blue cube, it should be named cube if you started out from a cube. And I'm going to name mine flash drive or thumb disk or whatever you call these things. And I'm going to go to the materials tab, which is the red circle. We've been also dealing with the modifiers tab, which is the blue wrench. But anyways, we got this red circle. I'm going to press new to add a new material. You should see the color slightly change on the flash drive, and that's because that's changing from the default material to a blank material, which are pretty close to the same thing. But anyways, so let's name the material. You name it in this box right here, and I'm going to name it flash drive matte, and I'm going to change the diffuse or diffuse. I don't know. This is going to be the color. Excuse me. It's not actually going to be the color of your flash drive in the end, because the flash drive is going to be textured, which is going to be the colors. But just for the sake of representing it until we put that texture on, then you can pick a color. I'll pick a fairly dark gray. Now the specular Specular is the shiny spot. I like to think of a cartoon apple always having that white spot, or something like that. That's the specular spot. It's kind of like the reflection of light spot, I guess. I don't know. If you look around, you'll find that most things have it, and it has some varying properties. I'm looking around. I see a big one on my TV. I'm seeing the couch that I'm sitting on even has a slight. I don't really know what to call it. It's kind of like a slight glow or glare. I guess it's just the glare really is a better way. A slight glare on it, and the color should generally stay white, unless you're shining some kind of other colored light on it, or you want it to be some kind of sci-fi thing where it's, I don't know. But anyways, so there's the intensity, and that is of course how bright that little spot is. The best way to look at it is here. If I drag this over, it might be easier to see. Is going to be this white spot on the sphere, which is in the preview window. If I drag this down, it's going to fade away. I pull it up, it's going to be brighter. So it starts off, I think, at 0.5, and for a flash drive, if you're going to have like a plastic one, I would say 0.5 might actually work fine. Now the hardness is going to be what really varies it. If you put the hardness down a lot, that's kind of like a smoother object. Generally, when your hardness goes down a lot, so does your intensity at the same time, but not in all cases. The reason why is because, as you can see now, the white spot is taking over the entire thing, and we don't want the color to be white. We want the color to be the color we chose. So if I put this way down, then that kind of limits that effect. And if you look up here in the preview, to me, this kind of looks like a clay or something like that. But if you put it up a lot and put the hardness up a lot, it's going to kind of focus that glare down into a smaller and smaller spot, which kind of reminds me of like a shiny piece of metal or a mirror. If you use a mirror and reflect the sunlight into somebody's eyes or something, you're gonna have this one focal point really. And that's kind of how I think of it. But anyway, so we said 0.5 for the intensity, and the hardness. Whoops, I'm sorry. I meant to do 50. I don't know what it's set to as default, but I'm just gonna pick one that I like. Maybe 100. I think it was set to. Let's go with 75. Okay. Now the shading, that's not relevant right now. Transparency, kind of self-explanatory. If you select it and you change the alpha is how see-through it is. If you put it down, see-through all the way. Put it all the way up, it's not see-through at all. Mirror, this is something we're going to use probably in the next part. And it is obviously how reflective it is. So we will have some reflective parts on our flash drive. But for right now, those are all the settings that we need. The rest of the stuff isn't really necessary. So, with that done, we have one last thing, and that is, I'm going to save that. This is what are called seams, and these seams are going to decide, are helpful for texturing, and I'm going to get into them in more detail later. So just trust me and do these things for now. So if you press Alt and right click and you select this loop here, you press Control E, which brings up the edges, and you do mark seam. Okay, so now let's just do that around up here again. And basically what this is going to be doing, if I can attempt to sum it up in a sentence, I'm just doing that same process, picking the loops around where two different sections of the object begin and end, and I'm marking them with a seam. I'm actually going to press Control R, and I'm going to add another loop here, and I'm going to add another loop there, and I'm actually going to mark them both, just to make that more defined right there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. When we do our texturing, we need to tell Blender where we want each texture to go, and that's actually good. I don't need to do that, I don't think. And we want the text where we want, because if we're going to color on it, we want this part to be white, this part to be black, this part to be red. You need to split up these vertices and tell which ones are going to go where, and I'll show you how we do that. And this is how we tell Blender which ones go where. But we need to do this before we actually paint. And why can't I do this? Well, I'll just mark it here. Let's see. I'm gonna select these vertices. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to lose the symmetry here now again. Grab along the X a little bit so that I can reach back here. And Control E, mark seam. And I need to do that again. Probably not going to be able to pull them over at the same, the same distance. But that's okay. Mark seam. Oh, one more should probably be the rim of this thing. You want to do your best to make it, because what's going to end up happening is that this is going to be put onto a 2D plane for us to draw on, because it's very difficult to draw on a 3D object. So when you're putting this on a 2D object, you need to make sure that things are going to be neat. And I'm going to do one dividing the top and bottom. And so, you know, if you think about taking this whole top part and making it flat, that might work. It's going to have a hole in the middle because this seam's going to cut off these middle parts. But if you think about making the insides flat, that's going to look weird. These ones are going to be smushed in. How is it going to work? It's not just going to unfold in a neat way that you can tell what it is and where what you're coloring on is going to end up on the 3D object, which is why we're cutting it into smaller and smaller parts. So there's going to be one for the little tongue thing here in the middle, then there's going to be one for the upper half of the inside, one for the lower half of the inside, and then of course the outside is a completely different thing, as well as this one might look weird. We might have to redo it, but it's okay. So that's that, and I think that's all seamed up, and we're going to start on the texture for the next part, and we're going to start that next time. And thank you for watching. Check out the earlier videos if you missed a bunch of stuff. Leave some comments, favorite the video, etc, etc. Check out my channel, blah blah blah. But if you have a question about anything I did, I just realized that I didn't really do a lot of explaining and I did a lot of doing in this video. If you have any questions about anything that I have done, leave it in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you. And thank you. I will see you in the next part where we do, like I said, the